All right, in this video, we're going to talk just briefly about what you might expect to find in a typical year with an expansion. Okay, so a typical year where the economy is expanding. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our aggregate demand and our long-run aggregate supply. Okay, so price level, and we have real GDP, and I can put my long-run aggregate supply here, and let's call that 1, so it'll be year 1, and then we have our aggregate demand here, call it 1. Okay, so that's going to be our starting point, and this is sort of what we would expect to happen in a typical year. So in a typical year, what we expect to happen between this year and the next year, we expect our long-run aggregate supply goes up. So we're saying our potential GDP goes up. So we expect that to happen every year unless there's some kind of major disaster. And that's because we get more tech. We also have generally, not always, but we generally are going to have more labor, more human capital, and more physical capital. But for sure, pretty much for sure, we're going to have more tech. Okay, and the other two is generally happening in most economies. Unless the labor could be going down, for example, if a country is shrinking or going through some demographic change. But in general, these things are happening in most countries. You can just change it depending on what's happening in the country you want to look at. We also expect aggregate demand to be going up. So let's first draw our aggregate supply. So we expect long-run aggregate supply is going up. So our ability, what that means is our ability to produce is more. So this is, we're saying we have an increase in the ability to produce. That's what that means. And then generally we would have our aggregate demand is also going up. So aggregate demand is going up for a couple of reasons. One, well, if we can generally, we're producing more, well, incomes are rising. There's also increase in the money supply. We haven't talked about that yet, but we'll come back to that. And there's other factors that will typically have this increasing. Okay, so we can go back here. I'm going to make this one green. So our aggregate demand is also going up. And so typically, this is kind of the situation. So we started over here at A, and now we've gone over here to B, right? So our economy goes from something like, if let's suppose we started in this equilibrium here, this long-run equilibrium, we went to another long-run equilibrium. So typically what's happening, we're getting an increase, at the end of the year, we're finding an increase in output, and we're also getting an increase in the price level. Okay, so we have, and that's what a typical year looks like. So output goes up and the price level goes up. And maybe if things are going well in the economy and aggregate demand is not growing too fast, then this price level is just going up a little bit, right? It's not going up too fast, maybe like a 2-3% inflation rate. And output is going up. Output going up is kind of the rate of the economic growth. So this would be a typical year in expansion. But we're going to find that what we said about long-run aggregate supply is basically always, unless there's some, like we said, like some kind of disaster that destroys lots of capital, or lots of labor leaves for some reason or something like that. So this is basically always, okay, almost always. And this is usually, okay, most years, well, at least the expansion years. So our model can tell us this so far, but the problem with what we have so far is with this, we couldn't analyze recessions because this is not going to show a recession because we won't be able to, it looks like, well, what we produce in a given year just depends on our ability to produce. But in a recession, we're producing less than we can. So we're going to have to come back to that, and we'll come back to that next time and start getting into, well, what else do we need to add to our model so we can use it to analyze recessions.